Hollywood has a lot of ways to name a sequel. Sometimes you add a number, sometimes you add a subtitle, sometimes you throw in a completely different title. But every once in a while, the studio makes a truly bold, creative choice. On this episode of Moving Panels, we discuss The Suicide Squad.
Welcome to Moving Panels, ignite the mic. From Gotham's alleys to galaxy's far, we dive in deep, we set the bar. Debates and takes, we bring the heat. Pull up a chair, join a seat. Moving Panels, where fandom takes flight. We review, discuss, and shed the light. Heroes, villains, every epic night. This is your show, your fandom's might.
Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. I'm your host, Laramie Wells, and it is March, which means we're doing something a little different around here. It's our March Madness, and this year our focus is villains. So we're not talking about what we always talk about, the heroes, the capes, the icons, the people that are saving the world. We're talking about the people that are helping to ruin it. And joining me for this villain-filled conversation is someone who has appeared on the show before and who I know appreciates a good comic book movie that isn't afraid to get weird. And that's Justin Baker. How are you, Justin?
Good. How are you, Laramie? Thank you for having me.
I'm good.
And I do have one quick question. Do you have any personalized license plates I need to know about?
I do not. I do have an official state license plate that has my college on it. So,
well, there you go. I think Harley will let that one slide.
Yeah, but nothing else. Nothing other than that. All right, so we are talking about The Suicide Squad, which is what they decided to go with for the title of the sequel to Suicide Squad. I don't know if the idea was, let's act as if this is a whole new movie, different movie. Let's act as if it's not a sequel, even though they brought back Amanda Waller, Viola Davis. They brought back Harley Quinn with Margot Robbie. They brought back Captain Boomerang with Jai Courtney, all who were in the original movie. Yeah. So it is a sequel, but they don't reference anything from the first movie. Like, what do you think the idea was calling it The Suicide Squad?
I felt like they took the best parts of the 2016. You know, you have Captain Rick Flag, Waller, Harley Quinn.
Joel Kinnaman returned, yeah.
And they took what was the best parts and then brought it over into this one. And so,
yeah, but do you think they were trying to avoid it being a sequel? Like anyone thinking it was a sequel and trying to act like, look, think of this as its own movie?
I mean, from what I remember when it came out, it felt like it was just going to be its own movie. You know, the original one, you know, it had its time. It didn't do well. It's kind of like a soft reboot, in a sense.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's James Gunn, written and directed by James Gunn, who now is the head of, you know, the DC Cinematic Universe, whatever they're officially going to call it now. And so he comes in and this almost as if this was his job interview for DC.
Yep.
Like, let's see how well you can handle a DC property. And I mean,
pretty good.
It's much better than the first movie, but let's go ahead and get into it. So this movie was released August 6th of 2021. And I don't know if you remember this, Justin. This was when movies and streaming were really weird because this was right after COVID. And this movie was released in theaters and on HBO Max the exact same day.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, I remember because I watched it on HBO Max. I did not see it in theaters.
Yeah, I remember streaming it. I've kind of got to the point where I kind of wait for a movie to come out. If I hear it's good, I'll watch it. So I did watch this probably about a year or so after it came out. And streamed it on HBO.
Yeah, no, I still go to the movies when I can, you know, especially if it's a movie I really want to see. It's just this one, the fact that they were it wasn't like, you remember Black Widow, Disney Plus released like during COVID, but you still had to pay like $30 to see it because that's how I watched Black Widow. But I was thinking, well, you know what? It's, you know, Bethany and I will both sit and watch it. Ruby will probably sit and watch it with us. So that's three of us. $30 isn't, you know, is negotiable, considering we definitely would have spent that and probably more with concessions and all. going to
just
the movie theater.
smuggle your snacks in. That's what purses are for.
Oh yeah. But this one I don't think cost anything. I think it was just, hey, it's going to be on HBO Max. And so I just said, screw it. I'm watching it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact the first one was such a letdown
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, nah, I'm gonna watch this one. But yeah, but again, James Gunn, I mean, he had proven himself with comic book properties. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, all three of those for Marvel are some people's favorites. You know, my daughter Ruby loves the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So.
Oh, absolutely. My wife loves them, but she will never watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again. Makes her,
Too
makes
emotional.
Her cry. Too emotional. Yeah, do not show pets and animals in danger. I think she cried probably 10 times during that movie.
I think, though, it shows him being able to do that with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, have the emotion, have the humor, but also just taking what are essentially obscure comic characters. No one knew who I did, but no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before James Gunn made that movie.
No.
I mean, he made them relevant. So the fact that he could take obscure characters and make them lovable weirdos, I mean, that made him perfect for doing something like the Suicide Squad.
And with the best superhero soundtrack, if not one of the best soundtracks for any movie ever.
Guardians of the Galaxy, absolutely. And of course, at this time, you know, he's now done Superman, and he kind of does the same thing in Superman. You know, he takes, you know, characters like Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific and makes them characters you're pulling for and rooting for, and he gets Metamorpho. Like, he has Superman, but then he's pairing him up with these, again, obscure DC characters. So I love it. And so did critics. This film was praised by most critics. Out of the 383 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 90% with an 82% audience score. 82% audience score. I'll get it out.
Which I'm kind of surprised that's lower than the critics.
Yeah, but I mean, some people just don't like superhero movies.
That is true. Then just don't watch them.
And of course, because it was released in both theater and streaming at the same time, the box office was okay. It made $169 million worldwide. That was against, though, a $185 million budget. So didn't make money, which is probably why we didn't continue with yet another one. Although it does seem like James Gunn is willing to continue these characters in some way, because we get the Peacemaker TV series that is kind of a spin-off. And there's maybe talk that Margot Robbie will still be Harley Quinn in James Gunn's new universe. We'll just have to wait and see.
That'll be good. I mean, she is everybody's favorite Harley Quinn by this point. Or at least live action.
Well, she's one of the only Harley. She is not the only. I will direct anyone to the WB, I believe it was WB, series Birds of Prey, in which Dr. Harleen Quinzel was the villain in that. And, of course, we've also gotten a live-action Harley Quinn in the form of Lady Gaga in the Joker Folie à Deux sequel. But definitely Margot Robbie has been the better live-action Harley Quinn. But let's go ahead and get into the comic book connection.
Yeah.
Step into the panels, heroes in action. Flip through the pages for your satisfaction. Feel the thrill and join the collection. It's the Comic Book Connection.
The team we see in the movie comes from DC Comics, specifically the modern version of the Suicide Squad, created by writer John Ostrander and artist Luke McDonnell. Their run began in 1987 with the series Suicide Squad. The concept is simple but brilliant. The US government takes supervillains who are already in prison and forces them to carry out extremely dangerous Black Ops missions in exchange for a reduced sentence. If they refuse, they stay locked up. If they try to escape, the government detonates the explosive devices implanted in their necks. Overseeing the entire operation is the ruthless government official Amanda Waller, who treats the team as completely expendable. That idea, villains forced to work together on missions where anyone can die, is what made the Suicide Squad one of DC's most unique and unpredictable concepts. So, how familiar are you with the comic book version of the Suicide Squad?
Not very. I mean, I feel like I remember hearing about them, just be like, hey, there's a group of, villains that have their own team, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's not your normal team of villains. We were talking the other day about like the Sinister Six and the Legion of Doom, and how you have these, superhero team or villain team ups to go against the superheroes, and this is not that. This is, super villains that are teaming up for good. I mean, against their own will, but it's a different take on a classic.
Yeah. And I didn't mention this in the Comic Book Connection because this is the sequel, and I'll probably, even though we have not covered the original, I'll probably go into more of the origin of the Suicide Squad in that one. But the Suicide Squad's actually been around since the 1960s, I believe. They may have debuted in like towards the end of 59. And of course, they debuted as more of like a Batman villain group. Because I do believe they debuted in The Brave and the Bold was their debut. And, they were made up of, I want to say, a really like random group in that. I don't remember the original team, but I do know that Rick Flag was like always a part of the Suicide Squad. So you got all of that, and this is more, like I said, the version that kind of came out in the 80s, where it was a little bit more like they were secret agents almost, and the government agency, they don't name them in the movie, but it's called Checkmate, and that's been seen in the animated series, and sometimes though they paired up with Argus, which is different, and I don't know, but yeah. So, yeah, I was just curious if you knew any more about the comic version, but let's get into the movie and the cast, because that's essentially what makes this movie.
Oh yeah,
I mean, James Gunn went deep into, and the first movie did too, even though the first movie wasn't James Gunn, went deep into the DC character sandbox. And he pulled some really obscure characters. So let's start going through it. The movie opens with Michael Rooker playing a character named Savant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Savant is a fairly new character in the comics. He debuted in Birds of Prey 56 in 2003. So he's not a really old character. But created by Gail Simon and Ed Beans. In the comic book, he is this wealthy vigilante, kind of like Batman, but he becomes a criminal mastermind, and they don't really give any background. And there's a reason they don't give much background, but we see him here as, he's highly skilled, at least in some way, because of the way he bounces the ball. And we believe that he will be the new leader of Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. Then we're introduced to Blackguard, played by Pete Davidson. Blackguard is a character from Booster Gold #1 back in 1986, created by Dan Jurgens. He's in the comic, again, they don't give background in the movie, but in the comic book, he's just a petty criminal who, as you saw, he has a lot of armor and weapons, and
like a poor man's Punisher.
Maybe. I mean, he uses a lot of alien technology in the comic books. But this one the movie just kind of leans into more of, he's just this kind of incompetent villain who makes, of course, very bad decisions, which we'll get into in a minute. Then we get TDK, played by Nathan Fillion, which we find out stands for The Detachable Kid, which is not a comic book character as far as I know. But I'm pretty sure he's a reference to, there's a DC character named Arm Fall Off Boy, who was from the 80s. So I think that's who this is supposed to be. I don't know why they went with a different name and called him TDK, but obviously kind of a parody of those. Well, actually, I do know why they did it, because Arm Fall Off Boy, I'll get it right, is a hero, not a villain. So I think this was just to make a villain character. And of course, hilariously played by Nathan Fillion. Then we also get Javelin, played by Flula Borg, hilarious actor. He is actually a Green Lantern villain from the 80s. He's a former Olympic athlete who becomes a criminal using various like high-tech javelins. Is that trope you get in a lot of comic, like Penguin with all of his different
so he's Hawkeye, but with javelins.
Umbrellas. Yeah, you can look at it that way. But this movie kind of focuses on just the one, like he has this one javelin, and it's a special javelin, although it doesn't do anything. But it does play an important role, so it is kind of character. We also meet Mongal, who's played by Mei Ling Ning. Mongal debuted in Showcase number 95, or Showcase 95, number 8, in 1995, created by Peter Tomasi and artist Scott Eaton. She's the daughter of the often Superman villain Mongul, which is why I have to emphasize the gal, because I keep wanting to say Mongul. She's Mongal. And again, that's a villain that's usually a Superman, Green Lantern type villain. Then we have Weasel, who is actually played by Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother.
Okay.
In the mocap suit, which he does the same. He is the actual body of Rocket Raccoon in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Even though Bradley Cooper's the voice, Sean Gunn is the actual body. Like, he's doing the mocap.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But we got Weasel, who also is from the comics. First debuted in The Fury of Firestorm, number 35 in 1985, created by Jerry Conway and Raphael Canyon, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He's not a humanoid weasel in the comic books. He's just a crazy dude in a weasel costume. So they made him more of an animal creature more in fun. This. Yeah. So, and then I'll just go ahead and mention it because she is in this first group that we're introduced to. But of course, we get the returning Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, who I don't know if you are aware. You may have heard us talk about it in the podcast before, but Harley Quinn was not originally from the comics. She was created for the Batman animated series in the 90s. And then she was brought into the comics, created by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. So we get this first team, and we get their, quote unquote superhero walk with the American flag behind them, and yay! Then
action's gonna happen.
First, yeah, and then they are all killed. Every single one of them. Like, what were your thoughts to that first scene?
That one took me for a wild ride the first time I watched it, because you're just like, what in the world is happening? Like, how are they gonna do anything with this if the whole team dies? And then it was kind of interesting, seeing the villainy of Blackguard being like, hey, like, I'm the guy who called y'all. Like, just because
he set up the team.
A villain who is trying to do better doesn't mean you're going to be a good guy. So yeah, it was a sight to see. And then all of a sudden you get the shift to the next team, and you're just like, what in the world is going on? It definitely threw you for a loop to where you didn't know what to trust or who to trust, I'll say. It kept you knew this movie was going to keep you on your toes.
Oh, absolutely. But like Justin says, we then get our, I guess, quote unquote, real team for the movie, who ends up being the Suicide Squad. And that starts off with Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba. Bloodsport is a Superman villain, debuting in Superman number 4 in 1987, created by John Byrne. That was when he revived the character. He is kind of just like Bloodshot from the first movie that Will
Mhm.
Smith played. So it was kind of a taking that same idea of a character and bringing it, but with a different one. But of course, he has the advanced weaponry. He did in the comic books do what Amanda Waller says he does. He shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. If that was a real comic book.
Yes, that was a
reference.
real thing that happened in the comics. So, and of course, Idris Elba, not new to playing a comic book character. He had done it 2 times before this that I remembered. If he did it more, please someone let me know. But of course, he plays Heimdall in the
Mhm.
MCU. And he was in the movie The Losers, which is based off of a DC comic book.
Okay, I haven't watched that one.
Yeah. Then working with him is Peacemaker, played by John Cena. Peacemaker actually predates DC Comics because he first appeared in the Fightin' Five back in 1966 and was part of Charlton Comics.
Okay.
Charlton Comics was then acquired by DC, and that's where we get not only the character of Peacemaker, but Blue Beetle, The Question. All of those characters came from Charlton Comics.
Nice.
But yeah, he was created by Joe Gill and Pat Boyette, and he's in the comics. They do kind of, because these characters get a little bit more of a backstory. He is a diplomat who is obsessed with achieving peace at any cost, which the movie obviously exaggerates. And we get, I like that we get the fact that he and Bloodsport, they give them like roughly the same background, which they make reference to.
Yeah, Waller's like, not loved by his parents, can turn anything into a weapon. What's his
anything
thing?
in his hands becomes a weapon.
Oh, he also wasn't loved by his parents and can turn anything in his hands into a weapon.
Yeah.
That's what you said about me.
Then we've got probably one of the most sympathetic characters, and that is Ratcatcher 2, who is played by Daniela Melchior. The original Ratcatcher number 1, is actually played by, my mind just went blank. The director, Taika Waititi. I don't know why I couldn't remember him. So we see him in a couple of flashbacks. And so that Ratcatcher debuted in Detective Comics 585 back in 1988, created by Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle. And we get Ratcatcher 2 in the film, which is supposed to be his daughter that's carrying on the mantle. I'm not sure if Ratcatcher 2 is an actual comic book character. I think it was just to create that dynamic in this. But another kind of thing they did that I think they did wonderfully is Polka Dot Man, played by David Dastmalchian. That character appeared in Detective Comics, another Batman villain from 1962, created by Bill Finger and Sheldon Moldoff. In the comics, he uses gadgets that have polka dots that are hidden within the polka dots of his costume. The movie decided to change the character so that he has more of his cosmic, like multi-dimensional power, which also gave him this very tragic backstory. So we go from this really goofy character in the comics that his thing is he just has a thing for polka dots, like, typical Batman villain, like Condiment King. But they made him into this tragic, actually cosmic powered or multi-dimensional power villain. And finally, there's King Shark, voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Although he is played by, I didn't write his name down. He's played by the same actor that plays Economos, the big guy that works for Amanda Waller with the beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he is the body of King Shark.
Okay.
Yeah. He did the mocap for that.
Okay, yeah, and he's in the Peacemaker spin-off
yes.
too.
Yeah. But he's voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Of course he is. And King Shark first appeared in Superboy number 0. Yes, there are comic books that are numbered 0. In 1994, created by writer Carl Kessel. The character is a humanoid shark, often portrayed as he is the son of a shark god, and yeah, and there you go. He is just a humanoid shark. That is all there is to it. And of course, we get Amanda Waller returning as played by Viola Davis, and yeah, and of course she is the head of, and we get the returning Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag.
Now playing on a cell phone near you, a show for all the manly men out there, where guys talk about their favorite movies and what they can teach us about being a man, featuring the coolest guests,
Murder somebody is not like killing an ant.
the most gratifying laughs,
It's Tombstone. What can I say?
and a fresh take on movies like you've never heard before.
This will be the thing that gets written on his proverbial tombstone.
We aren't here to criticize the movies you love, but to praise them for how they apply to our lives as husbands, fathers, and really all men in general. So buckle up your seatbelts, because Manly Movies is here. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or your other favorite podcast catcher. And remember, man up.
And we're back live. Let the show continue.
Yeah, what did you think of this cast? I know I've just spent a whole lot of time talking about them because there's so many characters, and I wanted to hit them all.
It's so funny how it's celebrities that you absolutely know for the most part. I mean, you need two hands to count all these A-listers. And then
I think you need more. I think if you actually put all of the quote-unquote Suicide Squad members together, both from the decoy team and the real team, I want to say there's 12.
Oof. Yeah. Well, you're better at math than me, so. But it's just funny how these absolute beasts of actors are playing people nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
And just seeing them, bring them to life, it was just so fun.
And you're not wrong. I'm pretty sure. You know what? I didn't even mention Jai Courtney returning as Captain Boomerang because, again, he was in the first movie. So I kind of left him out because I know we'll talk about more about him when we do cover the first movie. So, yeah, I think that makes 13 if you're not counting Rick Flag. If you're counting Rick Flag, I think it makes it 14.
You
Which I guess you have to.
got to start using your other toe, your other foot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you do have to count Rick Flag too, because she was sending him to his death by sending him with the first team.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's my question. Why is she sending some A-list Suicide Squad members on that decoy team, Flag and Harley Quinn?
Because she doesn't think of them as A-list. Like, she cares nothing about them.
Yeah,
There's no ranking for her at all.
You definitely get that in this movie. Cannon fodder. Everybody is cannon fodder.
Yeah. But, but you were talking about obscure. I mean, do you think anyone with just a basic knowledge of comic books knows any of these? Maybe Harley Quinn?
Maybe Harley Quinn.
I really don't think anybody's going to know anyone else. Because a lot of these characters haven't even appeared in other forms of media, at least not until recently. Because I can't think of any. Polka Dot Man may have appeared in like Batman animated series or maybe some other Batman stuff. I want to say that might be true, but I can't think of
maybe Bloodsport.
See, I don't think so. I really don't think Bloodsport did.
Because where would you rank him in Superman villains? Like a B list
Low.
or C list?
Yeah. I mean, if you probably were to put a C list together, I would probably go C list on Bloodsport.
Okay.
I don't think of Bloodsport as a main Superman villain. Yeah, man, I can't think of an awful lot. I mean, I know they've also done a female version of Bloodsport in the comics, but I really can't think of anything that would make him. Like, I can't think of him ever being on, like, the animated show or on, like, the Lois and Clark show in the 90s, or I can't. Maybe he may have been on the Justice League animated show because they would also pull kind of some deep cuts.
But, like, maybe Captain Boomerang or Javelin might have appeared in a cartoon. I mean, they just definitely seem like cartoon characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Well, yeah. Now, King Shark, I will say, probably appeared in some animated stuff. I do know there was a version of him on, I believe it was The Flash, the CW show, but I think that was after this. So I don't know if you can necessarily count that.
And he's definitely
Um,
more popular now after the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny going back to this King Shark. Like, why is he not smart like he is in the other?
Yeah.
Why can't he carry on a conversation?
True. But it's just a fun character. I mean, it was essentially the I Am Groot kind of character for the Suicide Squad. He said more words, but he didn't say an awful lot.
It's a notch up
So,
Groot.
all right, well, let's talk about some stuff out of the movie. Like, first off, let's talk about the fact that right off the bat, we get an opening sequence that establishes here's this team. Oh, we're going to give them this moment, and then shock everybody, kill everybody, even killing Captain Boomerang, returning from the first movie. Yes, we don't kill Harley Quinn. We're not 100% sure about what happens to her because we see her get all the guns are pointed at her. We know that Rick Flag survives, but essentially James Gunn sets it up right from the beginning. Look, anybody can die in this. And then, of course, spoiler warning, we lose some other characters along the way. Rick Flag is killed by Peacemaker when he turns on them. And then we get this tragic death of Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, it definitely starts right off the bat saying this is not going to be like the first one, the 2016 movie. It kind of leads you into that. You think with Savant and, storming the beach, this is going to be a very serious tone and everything, and then kind of hits the brake and throws you a curveball. And then after that, you're okay. We're in for something different.
Yeah, you say a serious tone. I do think you kind of are expecting there's going to be some humor when you've got Nathan Fillion and
well, a little more serious.
Pete Davidson and yeah.
This is 2016. From what I remember, it was
just
too serious. It was trying to be like every other superhero movie.
Yeah, well, I think that's a Will Smith thing too. Is Will Smith went to a place where even though he was originally started with comedies and has got some great comedic roles, he tries to then get too serious in his older age. But again, that's another thing that James Gunn and through this movie does so well is the absurd humor, but also balancing it with real emotion. Because, for example, the Bloodsport Ratcatcher 2 relationship.
Oh, yeah.
To where, he hates rats. And so they've got that aspect between them. But, she is so loving and so kind. I mean, she decides, she tells King Shark, that she's his friend. And then we get the final moment when Sebastian, the little rat, sits in his lap, and then he just overplays that, stays it wonderfully, looking terrified. But then he starts to pet Sebastian as Sebastian is laying down to take a nap on his leg. But I mean, James Gunn is just so good at it. He does it also with Polka Dot Man. Takes this really absurd character with this absurd premise and gives you this emotion with the character. And I know part of that is thanks to the performance of David Dastmalchian. I always have a hard time pronouncing his name, and I'm probably still pronouncing it wrong. Which I didn't mention, this isn't his first run in a comic book movie. He was in the Ant-Man movies. But, doing that whole thing with him where he's just this depressed guy because he's got this condition that his quote unquote superpower is also his curse.
And then you find
but then
out
they
that
tie that with
his
him,
mom.
which he sees in every, he's always seeing her. And they do some hilarious stuff with that.
And it's those moments when he sees everybody as her. It's like, it's so funny and so sad at the same time. To where, I mean, you're feeling multiple emotions Not at separate times, but at the same time throughout this movie.
And even doing it with Bloodsport and his daughter, like having that kind of emotional connection. And it's just, that's something James Gunn, I think, does better than anyone, is he can take, and it makes the movie so entertaining that he does. And he's done it for years. I mean, you even go back to, have you ever seen the movie Super that he did with Rainn Wilson? And at the time,
I've seen bits and
Ellen
pieces
Page,
of it.
Elliot Page.
Mhm. I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah. He kind of does that too. It's an absurd, random movie, but it's got some emotion to it. It's got some heart to it. I'm trying to think of other James Gunn movies where he's done that. I'm probably not Slither. Slither just goes a little bit too kind of B movie, modern B movie. But what were your thoughts of using a Starro as kind of the ultimate, I guess you'd say, villain in this?
I mean, it's so absurd. Like a giant starfish, or as I just call him, Patrick. Giant Patrick. As your villain, it's so ridiculous.
The disrespect to this character that has existed since the 1960s.
Come at me, bro. But it's so ridiculous, but so terrifying at the same time. When he sends the little things out of his armpits, and you're just like, oh, like, this could just kill everybody in the city. And then, you were just talking about emotions. You feel sad for it. We were talking about sympathetic villains the other week. And, I mean, this thing was just flying in space, and astronauts just took him and started doing experiments on him. And, he just wanted to go out in space and look at the stars. Is all he wanted.
Yeah. So you almost can't blame him for his retaliation. Mm-hmm. But I did like... Now, I actually didn't mention Starro, because Starro is not technically played by anybody, but I will... The character of Starro, as I mentioned, first appeared in the 60s. It was in The Brave and the Bold. I cannot remember the number, but it's the famous cover... because it was the first Justice League team up. Starro was the first villain that the Justice League faced. Wow. So there is the famous picture of Starro, and like Green Lantern, I think, has one tentacle, and Aquaman's got another tentacle, and just Starro the Conqueror is the actual character. But yeah, you almost feel bad for him a little bit, and especially his final words were, I was happy. I just wanted to see the stars, that he says through that one character. But I do like that they at least explain that when the little stars attach themselves to the person, they kill the person.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a person underneath that.
Yes. So that way we do still get this creature needs to be destroyed because he's killing all these people. But I also like that it makes it so that then when the Suicide Squad are then killing all these people with the stars on their faces, you don't feel bad that they're killing people. Because in the comics and in a lot of the animated stuff they do with Starro, they usually establish that if you can get the star off of them, they're perfectly fine.
Okay.
They go back to being who they are.
So
I did like that they at least established once the star is on them, they are dead. Like the star kills them. So that way, we're a little bit more okay with it. And what did you think of, because we said Starro is the villain, but really ultimately Amanda Waller is the villain. Yeah. What did you think of that scene when all of a sudden the Suicide Squad decide to protect the village? And Amanda Waller's yelling, turn back around, don't make me kill you. And she's yelling at them to open the case with the switches that would blow their heads up. And what did you think in that moment?
It's such a good scene. You definitely believe Waller's going to do it because she's already blown the head off Savant. So she's going to do it. But then, you have the team, the in-office team,
the tech team,
stand up to her. So good to see. It definitely helps set up the Peacemaker sideshow, the spinoff that they have. But it was good to see, the Suicide Squad now working as a whole team and knowing that there is good in all of them. You've come to kind of love and love these characters as they've grown on you, and especially Bloodsport. He's like, this ain't my job. This isn't what I was paid to do. I'm not gonna help out. And then he's just kind of like, all right, like we got to do this. And you're just kind of sitting on the edge
even
of
though
your
we're not,
seat.
even though we're not gonna say it, I believe his exact words were "F it," and then he turns around and yeah.
So yeah, you're definitely cheering them on. You're on the edge of your seat, kind of. Is she gonna blow their heads off? If she does, who's she going after first, or is she going, for all of them? And just what's gonna happen?
What did you think of the Peacemaker turn, where ultimately Peacemaker is kind of a villain, like does not have the redeemable quality that the rest of the group does?
All right, that one was definitely, I saw that one coming a little more, and I was, really kind of sad to see Rick Flag go. He was kind of the straight man of the group. He was the moral compass. Really is like, we're going to do what's right type thing. But I kind of felt that they were kind of handing the gauntlet to Bloodsport. Like, I think if the movie had done
well, I mean, they
maybe,
have the line where Amanda Waller says, I told you I'd make you a leader, or
Mhm.
I told you you could be a leader.
I honestly think if the movie may had done better, without the pandemic, causing people not be able to go to the theaters as often, that they honestly, it felt like they were trying to hand him the gauntlet, and maybe he would have been kind of the Rick Flag character if they had brought that team back.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I said MCU. The DCEU did not last much longer after this. So, but again, it is James Gunn. James Gunn. We know that Peacemaker is still a part of his universe because Peacemaker appeared in the Superman movie. John Cena. Maybe Margot Robbie will come back as Harley Quinn. So you never say never.
Yeah.
I guess.
I need the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, the real Suicide Squad. What was some of your favorite scenes? Like when you think of this movie, like what are the scenes that pop into your head?
I'd have to say my favorite scene is going to be when the real Suicide Squad team goes into the jungle and they find out, they're trying to get Rick Flag. He's been
they think they're
captured by the
rescuing Rick
rebels.
Flag, yeah.
And it's just kind of like, at this point that he is fine and he is working with the rebels who are the good guys, and then they come in and just murder everybody.
Yeah.
And like just the slow-mo action, the way it was filmed was just beautiful. It was just silly seeing. It kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings, where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are kind of having the competition of who can kill the most and who can kill the best, kind of like Gimli and Legolas in Lord of the Rings. That was just a great scene.
Yeah, which of course I love that sets it up with the arc when they then shoot at each other at the end, and Bloodsport's bullet goes through Peacemaker's bullet, and then as he's dying, as we think he's dying, Peacemaker's like, how? Because again, they had that competition,
smaller bullet
going. I find it funny the fact that they go to rescue Harley Quinn and she rescues herself.
Oh yeah,
and then when she finds out they're there to rescue her,
I can go back in.
Yeah, I can go back in. I find it so because Bloodsport's just like a few feet up the wall, like
just hanging there.
Yeah.
Like, we did all this work, all this planning, and you are completely fine.
Peacemaker's about to just murder some innocent woman working in an office. It's great. What did you think about the ending scene? Now, we did not know, at least probably didn't know, that Peacemaker was going to be a television show. So what did you think about that end credit scene where we find out Peacemaker's still alive?
With without knowing the show was coming up, it really doesn't do anything for me. It's cool. Maybe he'll be a bad guy the next movie or something.
Well, but they said, because the doctor asks, like what do they need? Like, what are you going to need him for? And Harcourt says, we need him to save the world.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it just kind of seemed like, okay, like, is he going to be part of a Suicide Squad again? Is he going to be solo? But then, of course, we get Peacemaker. Now we're on we just had season 2 not too long ago.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now you definitely kind of know why they brought that. So I don't know if it was, they knew the spinoff was coming, or...
I think he knew, definitely. I wouldn't have... I don't think that scene was there for any reason other than James Gunn was already going forward with the Peacemaker television show.
Because I watched it with Brittany, and we kind of had differing opinions. She was just kind of meh, like, okay, he's alive, whatever. And then to me, it's like, well, okay, well, Peacemaker's one of my favorite characters in the movie. John Cena's always great. Well, I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with him.
We'll definitely have to cover that, at least, season by season. We'll have to cover Peacemaker at some point. I think we've talked enough. Let's go ahead and get into it. Bag it, stack it, or trade it. So, Justin, what say you?
I am going to go bag it. This is
wow.
Yeah. This is a must-watch for me every summer. I always love a good, just turn off my brain, love something that's funny. It's a little heartfelt. It's got good action. It's got great performances, great cinematography. I watched this movie every summer since, I think I started watching it 2022, 2023, and I watch it, maybe a couple times during the summer.
Wow.
Just have it on in the background. Even it's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Because, like I said, it just has a plethora of emotions behind it.
Wow, I can say I did not see that coming. I did not see this as being. I didn't know that was one of the reasons why you picked it to do. Is that it was one of your favorite?
That "the" is very important.
Well, I went with stack it on it. I mean, yeah, it's chaotic, it's violent, it's weird, but like you did say, it is incredibly entertaining. But I like that, as James Gunn does all the time, he shows that you don't have to follow necessarily the comic book formula, or the comic book movie formula, I guess I should say. You can just embrace insanity, and I like little moments in this. We talked about Peacemaker when he reaches his hand when they're escaping capture. And he grabs the guy in the driver's seat because they've already shot and killed the driver. And the fact that and this is John Cena. Like, if they had used another actor, this wouldn't have happened. It's the fact that they used John Cena. He's just grabs the guy and he's like constantly like banging his head onto the roof of the truck, just over and over and over again. I love that you get Sylvester Stallone to come in and just say the stupidest lines and most random things. It's fun, but it's not one of my favorites, so that's why I put it as a stack it. So, but if you did enjoy it, here's my recommendation for you to continue your love of Suicide Squad, and I would say go out and read the John Ostrander Suicide Squad run from the late '80s, when they modernized the group a little bit, because that's where we get them going on the dangerous missions, where we get the morally gray characters, and of course the government treating them as expendable assets. It's one of the most influential DC comics of the era. Holds up incredibly well. So yeah, if you're a fan of the movie, that run is absolutely worth checking out. But any last words that you have for us, Justin?
No, I would say one recommendation I would have is go watch the 2016 so you can
Really?
see how great of a movie this is. Because the 2016
Okay.
one is not that great.
I get you now. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Rate and review the show. Also, check out our Facebook page for the March Madness. We've got our best adapted villains bracket happening where you can vote to let us know who you think the best actor portrayal of a comic book villain is in the movies. So make sure you check that out. But here is my last line. One of the reasons the Suicide Squad works so well is because it understands something fundamental about comic books. Not every story is about perfect heroes. Sometimes the people who save the day are messy. They're broken, selfish, sometimes even cruel. But occasionally, when the moment demands it, even the worst people can do something heroic. And sometimes that's enough. For today, for Moving Panels, I'm Laramie Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.